welcome back to my channel. This is going to be baby girl Freya's 2-month update. I've already done a 1-month update, so I will link that in the description box below. But Freya is 2 months old now. I'm gonna do this video in the exact order that I did the 1-month update. So let's start with your sleep. Shall we start with your sleep? Okay, so in the last video, I said that Freya was refusing to sleep in her cot. And that started from like week 2 after she was born. She would not sleep in her cot. She actually spent like 2 weeks every night sleeping in our bed with us. It was the only way that she was going to sleep, and I'm not just going to leave her crying all night. I'm not going to do that. I then bought a lounge pod, but somebody commented on that video saying it wasn't safe and it isn't recommended for sleep if it's like a long period of time or overnight, but if it was just like a short nap, it was going to be okay. She slept in it a few times, but then decided not to sleep in it anymore. Now at 2 months old, during the day, she sleeps on our bed on my side. She ends up being a slight slant, which is how she prefers it. But during the day, she'll sleep on the bed, and she only has quite short naps during the day. To be honest, probably only like an hour max. And then at night, she does sleep in the cot. She does go in a swaddle. She initially didn't like being swaddled. We had a love to dream, hated it. We then got her a swaddle where she was all cocooned, definitely hated it. And now we've just got this swaddle from Amazon. It was like a pack of 3, and she has her arms out, which is how she prefers it, and she was sleeping there during the night absolutely fine. So daytime on the bed, no swaddle, but nighttime in her cot, in a swaddle. And then at around 5, 6 in the morning when she is due a feed, I just let her stay in the bed with us after that. Also, during the day, she will feed every few hours, but at night time, she can go like 4 to 5 hours. That's like her big stretch. Last night, she actually went 5.5 hours. And there was one night where she went over 7, and I was like, whoa, that is a bit too much. But usually it's somewhere around 4, 5 hours. Max would be 5.5, like what she did last night. Next is her poop. And in the last video, when she was 1 month old, I told you that she had infant dysphagia, which was like a phase that they go through. Some of the babies go through, not all babies. No medical cause for it. It's like the bowels and tummy muscles are not quite communicating properly, and she's kind of trying to figure out how to poop properly. She'd go red in the face, she would strain, she'd do a huge fart and it would stink, and there would either be nothing in there or it'd be like the tiniest amount. It has got better. She is definitely doing more poops that are like a full amount. She still has to really strain and sometimes go red in the face to get it out. And it sounds like a wet fart. She's getting better. Next is her feeding. And I think I said in the last video that we were going to change her from Tommy Tippy to the man bottles. So we were using the Tommy Tippy bottles, but we found that it was taking her a long time to drink the formula out of the Tommy Tippy bottles because of the teats. It was like she had to suck harder to get it out, and she had to keep taking regular breaks to go and take a breather. So we ended up changing to the man bottles. There is 5 ounces of formula already in there, just the formula powder. That's what I do to make it easier. So it's already got the measured amount of formula powder in the bottle, and then when she is due a feed, I don't have to be there faffing about with the scoop and she's like, because it's already prepared. I literally just have to put it in the machine to get the water. That's just how I do it anyway. She's still having between 2 ounces and 4 ounces. We give her a 5 ounce bottle just because we want to be able to see when she's actually starting to drink more. But at the moment she can go either 2 ounces, which is actually the feed she just did before I filmed this video. She only had 2 ounces. And then other times she'll have 4 ounces and she'll kind of make up for it. During the night, when she's gone that sort of like 5-hour stretch of not feeding, as soon as she wakes up, she will have the whole like 5-ounce bottle. She'll probably leave like a little trickle that's not even worth calling like half an ounce. She is bringing up quite a lot of her formula after every feed, and it is every feed. Sometimes it's almost like she's bought up the whole bottle. There was actually a morning recently where she ended up going through 4 vests in the space of an hour. The first 3 were in the space of like 10-15 minutes. It was absolutely ridiculous. And then the 4th one was actually an hour after she had the feed. She was asleep. I came in to check on her, and I kid you not, like halfway across her vest, there was like, this was dry and all of this was wet. It was so bad. I actually took a picture of it so that I could show the GP, and there was also a morning where I was trying to film her smiling, and I actually got her on video being sick, so I showed that to the GP as well. When she had her 8-week checkup and 8-week vaccinations, at the checkup, I mentioned it to the GP, and she said it sounded like silent reflux. She advised us to get infant Gaviscon, but I didn't end up getting it because she also said she wasn't sure. And I thought, well, if you're not sure, then I don't want to be giving her a medicine for something that you don't know if she should be actually taking that medicine for. So I ended up booking a separate appointment and going to a different GP. And she was like, no, that's not silent reflux because there's no acid coming up. She's not in any pain or anything. I showed her the picture of the vest. I showed her the video. She was like, that is not silent reflux. She actually said all babies have reflux. They all bring up milk. They all spit up. The problem is when there's actually acid in there, which Freya obviously doesn't have because it's not causing her any pain. She doesn't cry. It just comes out. She thinks it's normal. Even the video I showed her, even the vest where it was like an hour after her feed and half of the vest was just all wet from the sick, the formula that she bought up. She said that was still normal. She said it could be that if she hasn't been for a poop in a while, that's why she ends up bringing a lot up, because that formula is either got to go out one way or the other. It's either got to go out her bum or it's got to go out her mouth. So if she hasn't pooped in a while, that would probably be why she's then brought up so much out of her mouth. Whereas if she has done a poop recently, you might not get as much coming out of her mouth. She was like, don't take infant Gaviscon because that's for if there's acid, which she obviously doesn't have. So she'd be taking it for no reason. And it can also cause constipation. And she already has some kind of like bowel problems at the moment. We don't want to make that any worse. She said to go to a health visitor and get her weighed. If it's not affecting her weight, we can just carry on as normal. If it is affecting her weight, then we would have to change her formula to Aptamil because they have their own acid reflux formula. We wouldn't actually be using it for the acid because she doesn't have acid reflux, but we would be taking it because it's a thicker consistency, and sometimes a thicker consistency stays down almost like an anchor. It's almost weighed down better inside her. So we would have to change to the Aptamil acid reflux formula, and it's 18 to 19 pounds a tub, whereas the tub of Kendamil is only 12 pounds. So I'm hoping that when she goes and gets weighed with a health visitor, it's not going to affect her weight so that we can stick to Kendamil. We were actually told by a health visitor we don't get an appointment now until she's 9 months old, but they do like drop-in sessions nearby locally, so I just need to pop in, be like, can you weigh her please? Also, when we are out and about, I had bought the Newbie Rapid Cool, but as the set, so I had 2 of the Rapid Cool bottles, and then I also had their flask. I think it was like £50 on Amazon. I say I bought it, they were gifted. I was just giving her the ready to feed formula when we were out because that's what she had since being at the hospital. She is fine to drink it at room temperature. She obviously has it warm when she's at home and she has the formula powder, but when we're out, she can have the ready to feed formula at room temperature. But I've noticed that she started to only drink like 1 ounce, maximum of 2 ounces when I give her that out. I don't think it's that she doesn't like it because otherwise she would spit it out and refuse it. But I think she's just like, this is a bit naff. This isn't like what I'm having at home now. I'm having luxury at home. It is warmed up. But I actually sold my Newbie Rapid Cool set. So I'm now regretting that choice. I'm going to have to get it again. But I actually checked their website and their flask only holds the boiling water at the temperature for like 3 hours. I think it said at least 3 hours. And I was like, well, that's a bit rubbish. What if you were out all day and you needed to give like 2 feeds? I mean, that might not even be at the temperature on like the first feed. So that just seems really, really stupid. So what I'm going to do is get a flask, a normal vacuum flask, to put the boiling water in, but obviously I'll wait until it's cooled down to 70 degrees. That's the temperature you need to kill the bacteria in the formula powder. I think I found a flask that can hold it for up to like 8 hours, but I'll do some more research. The one I was going to get was the Thermo Cafe by Thermos on Amazon, but let me know if you've got any other recommendations for a good vacuum flask. And then I'm also going to get the Newbie Rapid Cool just as the bottle, not the flask. But I'm going to get 2 bottles, because what if I was out all day and I needed to do 2 feeds? You can't use the same bottle without washing it and sterilising it in between feeds. So I'm going to need 2 of the Newbie Rapid Cool bottles, I think. But let me know in the comment section below what you do. Do you do a flask and then the Newbie Rapid Cools? Or do you do a flask of boiled water, a flask of cold water, and then just make the formula that way without the Newbie? Let me know in the comment section below what you do to feed your baby formula when you are out and about on the go. The next section is health, and in the last video I said that she had a really, really blocked nose. That has actually completely gone now. She also recently had a really, really sore bum, and when I say really, really sore, I mean it was almost like the skin was off. And it was bleeding a little as well. So when I went to the GP about her bringing the formula up, I also mentioned that, and I'd actually taken a picture of her bum. So bad. I felt well bad. I was like, poor child, I'm just showing pictures of her bum hole to the GP. But the GP was like, that is not nappy rash, that's actually thrush. She asked what cream I was already using, and I was using Metanium, which she said was obviously better than Sudocrem in this situation. But she has prescribed a different cream that's obviously for thrush, but you have to do it 3 times a day and for like 2 weeks. We did change her wipes because we were initially using water wipes, but they're expensive. For a pack of 4, it's like a tenner. But if you get a pack of 4 of the Pampers Aqua, which is their version of water wipes, it's half the price. It's like a £5. They're fine on her bum, but her face is sensitive to the Pampers Aqua. And it's 99% water. How can she even be sensitive to 99% water? But she gets a little like blotchy if I use it to wipe her mouth. She did have her 8-week checkup and vaccinations. It was 2 injections, 1 in each thigh. The needles were pretty long and they go all the way in. They do like the whole needle. I was like, how was that even going in without coming out the other side? She did cry, but she settled very quickly. Honestly, it was like a minute and then she was fine again. They put drops in her mouth for something, don't ask me what, I don't know. And then they gave her her first dose of Calpol there and then straight afterwards before we left, because it can cause a temperature, the vaccinations. And then I gave her another 2 doses of Calpol at home, and that was it. She never got a temperature. The next section is development, and I am going to hold the paper in front of me instead of behind the camera because I wrote a lot down and I started scribbling at this point. I think she is a little bit behind in terms of her development, because at 2 months old, she should be doing more social smiles, and she should also be cooing or like making sounds as if she's trying to communicate. She doesn't do that. She can't hold up her chest during tummy time. She can't hold a rattle. But I think at 2 months old, she should be doing those things. I saw online, and I don't know how accurate this is, so if you know, please correct me if I'm wrong. I saw online that if you take their age in weeks minus how many weeks early they were, that's where you should be looking at in terms of their development. So in weeks, she is 10 weeks, minus 3, because she was 3 weeks early, equals 7. So she should be at the development of like a 7-week-old, not a 10-week-old. When I look at where she should be at 7 weeks, it does actually look quite accurate for what she's doing now. I'd say it actually looks very accurate to what she's doing now, but I don't know how true that is. What she is doing now is she still loves looking at lights and trees. I took her to her first soft play session and they had a little sensory bit, and it was like this, almost like a disco ball on the ceiling, and it was just red lights going round and round, and I was holding her like this and she was going, looking all at the lights. She loved the lights. She likes looking outside windows. She likes our clock in our living room. We have a massive black clock on the wall, and she likes looking at that. She is smiling more. So last time when she was 1 month old, she was only smiling when she was sleeping and like farting in her sleep. Now she will actually smile at us. She only seems to do it in the morning. She is very, very smiley in the morning, and then for the rest of the day it's kind of like rare if you will get a smile out of her. But I feel like she should still be doing more social smiles at this point, but we will go with her timing of development. She lifts her head during tummy time or when she is carried. She just can't lift her chest. She gets fussy when she is bored. She has discovered her hands, so she now brings them to her mouth more, much, much more. Sometimes I can't tell if she's hungry or if it's just her discovering her hands. She doesn't go cross-eyed anymore. She used to do a lot of like cross-eye, and I was like, oh no, what's going on here? But she doesn't do that anymore. She pays attention to faces and she turns to look at us. So if I was to like walk out of the bedroom and she was laying on the bed, she would like follow me walking out of the bedroom with her eyes. She can also maintain eye contact. She will literally just stare at my face. If I'm sticking my tongue out, if I'm talking to her, she will stare at my face. Sometimes if she's following you, she won't actually turn her whole head. She'll just use her eyeballs, but I think that's still okay at this point. She tracks objects, but again, sometimes she'll do it more like with her eyeballs, so you'll just see her eyes turning, but she won't necessarily turn her head. Sometimes she does, sometimes she doesn't. Last section is clothes. So last time I said that she was in newborn and that she was wearing the newborn sleep suits, but they had to be all bunched up at the top because they were so big. And her matching sets like t-shirts and leggings, vests and leggings were too big, especially the leggings. They were huge. She is still in size newborn. So at 2 months old, she is still in size newborn. I don't know if the sleep suits are still bunched up because it's been too hot for her to wear sleep suits, but her matching sets like tops and leggings, they now fit her. And also her newborn rompers, they also fit her now as well. I actually ended up giving away some of her 0 to 3 month clothes because they're all summery, and I had like 1.5 drawers all full of 0 to 3 month clothes, summery clothes. And I'm thinking at this rate, by the time she gets to autumn, that's when she'll be 0 to 3 months. So she's always going to be like a size down. That is Freya's 2 month update. Baby girl Freya. Oh, I can't believe she's 2 months old. That is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.